Hello, friends, and welcome to Perfect Practice. Today, I have a very fascinating guest. I know you are going to love our conversation. In our preliminary conversation, I am so intrigued and excited to share Anne Tsung with you. Anne is a medical doctor, and she has a very diverse and interesting background, very inspiring, actually, because uh, you'll see as we get into this dialogue that she's got a lot to offer to the world. Today, our focus is going to be productivity. And what I found interesting about Anne is where we met. So I was speaking at a conference called Limitless MD. One of my friends and colleagues, Vikram Raya, was the host. And we had all kinds of different, people with diverse and various backgrounds. And what united all of us who were there is everyone wanted to be a high performer. Everyone wanted to be at the top of their game. Everyone wanted to contribute to society as physicians, but then also contribute to their family and their legacy by creating abundance in their lives. So it was pretty amazing to see the diverse group of individuals all coming together and culminating to be the best version of themselves. So it was kind of like IFM meets Tony Robbins in a way, because it was very driven individuals. And Anne was one of them. And she was just, as you'll see in a moment, just a total rock star. She's got an amazing background. She's a medical doctor. She's a master's in public health. She works in the ICU and in the ER as a physician. She's also a NASA flight surgeon. And that piqued my interest too, because I'm like, I wonder how some of the most significantly important people on our planet, how they function. What do they do to be productive? Because they have the same number of hours in a day that we do. So she's going to bring all of these cool insights and her experiences into this dialogue and conversation. And I'm so gracious and grateful for her offering her time to speak with myself in our community. So without further ado, Anne, welcome. Thank you for joining me today.
Thank you, Sachin. I really appreciate you inviting me on, and just wanted to let the audience know everything that we talk about from here on out. It's my personal opinion, no affiliation with any university or government associations.
I love when you have to have a disclaimer like that. Like that, I think that's the first time we've had such a disclaimer on the podcast. So thank you for being the first. I love it. um, so tell me first of all, like you just came back from UPW. We were talking about that earlier, and I'm sure you've been before. So how is this time different than before? So UPW is Tony Robbins' event, Unleash the Power Within.
Yeah, it was a 4-day event, and when I first went, it was in 2017. I was just finishing critical care fellowship, so not yet a full attending yet, attending an ER, and which is just a completely different mindset back then. Haven't started my social media, haven't started my productivity MD coaching, started my Amazon product line. That's what I did during fellowship, and just different fears, working on different fears at that time, like being afraid to even like post on social media. Working on first UPW was got me to completely stop drinking 1 year later. So I haven't touched alcohol since 2018.
Mm,
And also that's when I realized that was lacking in terms of reconciling with my mom, having a good relationship, or at least go through the forgiveness and thank you phase, with my mother. This phase, different phase, more established as an attending, now working for NASA for the past two and a half years now, almost 3 years. Started my coaching company, social media presence, investing in real estate, have a podcast now. And now I have people that I manage, and I have expectations that I realize really to trade for appreciation. And again, more work, even more work with my mother. Even though I've done it before, it requires even more work, which is another story. And then realizing, before that was, girlfriend and boyfriend with my now husband. And this time with the baby and the second one on the way, trading those expectations that grew throughout the years into, again, unconditional love, and feeling that unconditional love one more time, just like how we were back in 2015 to 2017 during those dating stages. So
mm.
very different learning through as you go through life.
Yeah, it's like they say that you never step in the same river twice, right? Because the river is different and you're different. And what a great gift to give to your unborn child, right? To be able to be in that environment and feel so much love and kind of a recommitment and rekindling of the flames of your relationship. I mean, it's so important, right? And something that, we can talk about funnels and productivity and all that stuff all day, but I think that relationship that we have with our parents, right, is so huge. That relationship with our significant other, our children, born and unborn. I think that's such powerful work. So thank you for sharing that. And I almost forgot you were pregnant, but that's right. You are pregnant currently, and this is your second child, right? From what I
Yeah.
understand.
Yeah. My
Right.
unborn child was probably like, what is going on? Why am I shaking so much? Because she dance a lot at UPW. But it was so incredible. Day three of there's something called the Dickens Process where you shed the belief systems, but then he calls them bullshits, and then you speak the truth. And
Mm,
there was a physician there who also senses energy, who can see energy, but through sensing. It's very interesting. She said that once all 10,000 live attendees shed their BSs and got in sync and spoke their truths and then did the incantation of, I am the voice. She visualized so she could sense like all the hearts and all 10,000 were coherent, beating coherently. And
mm.
she just thought that was really powerful. I thought it was powerful just because I could sense it was powerful, that there was a shift to energy, but it was so interesting that she sensed it.
Yeah, it's amazing what happens when a collection of people come together with uh, the desire to elevate however they're showing up in the world and shed those limiting beliefs that hold us back and step into, really a new life. Like you almost feel reborn after you go to an event like that. So for those people who are listening who haven't been, I think it's one of those things you have to go at least once. I don't know how much longer Tony's going to be doing this, but as long as he's doing it, it's definitely a great investment in yourself.
Yeah, absolutely agree. If you haven't gone, look at the dates coming up, go live. You won't regret it. Change our trajectory. It's back in 2017, and our lives were never the same after.
I think I went in 20. Were you in Chicago?
It was New Jersey.
Okay, so we weren't at the same one. Amazing. I love hearing that. So we highly recommend it to those that are tuned in who haven't been. And even if you've been, again, going the second time almost sounds just as powerful, if not more powerful, because we're in different stages in our lives, and different challenges might be popping up for us, and different breakthroughs might be available to us as well. You said something that you kind of glossed over, but I wanted to bring to everyone's attention. You said you started a business while you were in residency. Did I hear that correctly?
Yeah, I was in fellowship, as Amazon product.
What was your first product on Amazon?
It was I don't have it here, but it was a umbrella, but it's an inverted umbrella. I don't know if you've seen an inverted
Yeah,
umbrella,
I
but
have an inverter umbrella.
okay. So the handle, I attached a cup holder to it.
Ah.
So when you're holding something, your umbrella, you just put your drink there. So you don't need to rummage around or have extra hands. It just basically holds your drink there for you. And there was the inspiration from the 4 Hour Work Week. So I was like, okay, let me do a product, and, just doing things at like 5 a.m., contacting, Alibaba. And then just before I get to the fellowship at 6 a.m., just micro steps during that time. And I finally launched during my fellowship. sold
Wow.
them, sold them out, made a few more orders, and I decided I think I went traveling at that time. So I just let it sell out, and that was it.
That's amazing. I almost want to go buy one. I don't know if they still sell those or not, but what inspired you to start that business? I mean, I'm sure you had a ton on your plate. Do you come from a line of entrepreneurs, or where does that drive for entrepreneurship come from?
No, I think the inspiration, well, came from Tim Ferriss, and then other people talking about Amazon, but the inspiration at that time and the motivation was fear. Um,
Hmm.
Fear of not going back to how we were before, since my mom and I were immigrants from Taiwan. We moved here when we were 9 years. I was 9 years old, and then so they were divorced since I was a baby. So she was a single mom, initially working as a server at Chinese restaurants, IHOP, various other places, 7 days a week sometimes, or she would
Hmm.
take late night shifts. till 2 a.m. And a few times, one time she definitely got robbed, and one more time was a close call. And I just saw how difficult it was and how heartbreaking it was to lose those tips of like, I don't know, less than $50, probably the whole entire night.
Hmm.
And so, and also growing up with the shame that we were poor, and we didn't have, like, initially when we first moved, we didn't have a dining table, so we would have a big cardboard box and just flipped it upside down. That was my dining living room table. So like the shame and, like, having my rich friend's mom dropping me off at my apartment and it looks like shabby. So the motivation stemmed from fear initially, a need for security, certainty, probably significance because of that.
Hmm. Interesting. It's so fascinating to me, like um, what challenges people had growing up. And it seems like those that face like the most significant hardships are the ones that seem to come out on the other end. It's like maybe they develop a set of muscles. You talked about fear, but I would say, and maybe we can talk about this, but uh, beyond fear, there's also something there might be. And I don't even know what it's called, but an emotion that just kind of drives you, right? That inspires you to take action. And a common theme that I hear from the most productive and successful people is this triumph from something, tragic or very challenging. It's almost like you develop a set of muscles or a mental callus or a physical callus that allows you to step into things and take action and do it even though you're scared. You still do it. It's like, I think they say fear is being scared and doing it anyways. So I don't know if there's anything you'd like to add to that, but if there was anything else that drove you, I'd love to hear about it.
Yeah, because failure was not an option. We talk about that in NASA too. Failure just not an option. I think,
Mm,
my mom depended on me to succeed, and I felt like the weight was on my shoulders, and it was just her and I. So, she wanted me to be a physician, or a lawyer, decided on a physician because it is the one profession where you can help people every day, whoever you see. Um, Never mind, the hospital systems, administration, paperwork, everything. But if you really put your presence into it, see the patient, you can't help them. And I think it's also stemmed from, uh, she's always very resourceful. She started her own business back in Taiwan, a CPA business. She is not afraid to be alone. She doesn't need a man to depend on. She always thinks that she can do anything she wants. And so probably a little bit of the courage, fear plus action equals courage. A lot of that stemmed from growing up and modeling her, and seeing her own mindset of what she's been able to do. No matter what, I'm going to take my daughter here, work as much as I can, do whatever I need to do. And now she started working in the clinic at the front desk, got a CRNA license. So like, okay, not CRNA, CNA license. And then she's like, okay, I'm going to go do a massage. Got a massage license. Like, okay, I'm going to go open my own massage store. So she just opened her own massage store. So now she owns a massage store. She won't outsource. She won't hire. That's okay. It's better than she was before.
well, what a wonderful full circle moment for your whole family. I love that. Thanks
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sharing.
yeah, of course.
So I know that we really want to talk about productivity uh, and help create efficiency for people. And there's so many things that suck our time these days. So whether it's social media or kind of that never-ending inbox or shopping on Amazon, whatever the case may be. There's like we're just so distracted these days, and you might have better stats on this, but I feel like productivity levels have actually gone down significantly. And I feel like because we live in a digital era now versus working on an assembly line, I mean, some people still do, and we're grateful for that. But because we live in a digital era, our time can be leveraged so differently, right? With tools and automations and media and so on and so forth. So I'd love to hear some of the, uh, you know, some of the challenges that you find practitioners, but even people face that waste and suck a lot of their time each day? What are some of the common mistakes or common pitfalls of productivity for people?
Yeah, I would say, from talking to the physicians, entrepreneurs, or just physicians in general who are clients, the most common thing is mindset and being intentional with what you want to do, and not having clarity of your goals, of your vision, and why are you even doing things that you're doing right now. I would say that's like the most important thing to address before you can be productive. And when I'm talking about productive, I don't mean productive in work. I mean productive in your whole entire life. Are you productive with your kids, as in, are you intentional in spending time with them with presence and planning out things that create beautiful memories together? And are you productive with your spouse, where you're intentional with your date nights, or even appreciating him or asking him or her what kind of hobbies or anything they would like to learn, or is there anything they would like to attend, like a sports event, and be intentional. So I usually have my clients go through like a life vision of where they want to be, like when they're 85, 95, with full vitality and mental capacity. Then we come up with the 5 goals for the year. And then we take a look at what they're doing and eliminate all the things that don't contribute to those 5 goals. And then the night before, you set three top priorities. Oh, and we do the why, like 7 levels of why. Once you have a really strong why, then you will you're more likely to distraction proof your day, so you can complete those top 3 priorities. You set those top 3 priorities that move the needle on those 5 goals the night before, and then the next morning you do whatever it takes to distraction proof your environment with various tech and software or physical barrier to your tech sometimes to get that done. So
Do you,
that's like a rough framework.
okay. Do you have a lockbox for your phone? Is that what you're referring to?
I in the beginning, when I needed it, I would just whenever I needed to do deep work, my phone would be outside in the dining room. When I sleep, I never take my phone in. Or I take my work phone in, which doesn't have anything distracting on it.
Mm.
Put it on airplane mode. So there's no connection or Bluetooth or anything, and I just the alarm, and that's it. But most of the time, personal phone is always outside the bedroom.
Yeah, those are huge, right? And then, one of the things I'll just call myself out on this is I was guilty of us taking my phone in the bathroom. And that, once I stopped doing that, I was like, oh my God, like I have like, even if it's just like an extra 10 minutes, it's 10 minutes that I could be doing yoga or breath work, or, now I can make my own coffee, right? Like there's so many things that can suck up your day. And it's these little micro habits. So setting ourselves up for success in that regard, I think, is huge. I think one of the things that I don't even know if you have this or not, but having social media on our phone can be like such a huge distraction as well. And they, obviously, this as a productivity expert, but they have, social engineers, attention engineers that keep us sucked in. So we've got to understand that that's happening, and then not try to fight it, but try to eliminate it from our periphery, right? So it's not even there for us to access.
Yeah, I think a really important thing, we could talk a little bit about tech and how to do that. I've grayscaled my phone. So my phone, it's called dopamine desensitization. So I grayscaled it so you're not really attracted to the colors.
Mm.
So, and then it's pretty clean. The first homepage, it doesn't have any messaging, doesn't have any social media. All the text, email, and everything is in the one category called inbox, and they're batch checked like maybe a few times a day. And for my personal phone, not my business phone, I have no badges showing anywhere, no notifications, nothing dropping down, nothing in my lock screen. It's just clean, fresh. I just check when I want to. So ever since, so I took a class from Steve Kotler, the flow expert.
Mm-hmm.
You can be 500x more productive if you get hack into flow state. These tech implementations, at least on my phone and also my laptop, has been like instrumental. Like I cannot I absolutely cannot fathom how people can get anything done with multiple vibrations, lock screens, drop down. Sometimes when I download an app and I accidentally haven't turned it off, it like irritates me whenever I see it. So you're right. There's teams of people there engineering this to get your attention, and it's hard for you to fight it unless you do something massive and drastic, which is turn off your notification, just let it go.
Yeah, I'm curious now if you've recorded a video that documents the process of how to turn all that stuff off and how to set the grayscale feature up.
I will put a link of the grayscale in the resource list. The notification, you just go to notification settings and literally off, 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 off. It's just setting a shortcut, 3 clicks, it turns it back to color. If you have like videos and photos, and the 3 clicks, it's back to grayscale. And it just makes your phone boring. And then it's simple biochemistry. Once you don't you're not secreting all the dopamine anymore, your receptors start going down and you don't need more and more. Like, you don't need it's like cocaine, basically.
Yeah,
So,
I did that. My phone turns red, so I have it like this, and so then there's it's great when the sun goes down because there's no blue light coming off of it, and so very similar. Like you don't even like looking at it when it's like that, when it's monochromatic like that. It's just like, oh, this is like weird to look at. So it serves its purpose when it needs to, right? If the phone rings, I can still see it, but I'm not. It's not like those jelly beans, those like visual jelly beans that you're reaching for, right? Because the colors they use, the contrast levels they use, all of that stuff is very specifically designed to draw you into it, right? They want you reaching for that phone as much as possible.
yeah, the badges, the red circles, the best thing is to take it away. But if it's in black and white, it's like, okay, whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't get your attention, right?
Uh-huh.
So what are some of your, like, you talked about, things that we can do to our phone, and you kind of briefly mentioned like different apps and productivity hacks. Are there others that you can offer that you think would be helpful?
Yeah, I could talk a little bit about some of the things you can install, and maybe we can talk about some more common issues, which has to really do with mindset. So yeah, with the tech, if you have Gmail and Chrome, use Chrome to access your Gmail, I would download the extension Inbox when ready. I will have this link as well into the product resource list, productivity MD resource list. So it basically, when you log into Gmail, it shows blank. It's just like no email. You don't see any emails. So you can find the email you need to respond to as part of your top 3 priorities. Those are the important reach outs or asks that will actually move the needle of your 5 goals. And then you will not get distracted by all the other people's requests of you, but doesn't move any of your 5 goals at all. So when you're ready, and then you press show inbox and you back check, and then everything shows up. But you've already done your top 3. You've already done your most important requests of the day, so that's okay. Another thing is Unroll Me is also another thing I downloaded for Chrome, where subscribe to a lot of things. What it does is that with each email, and there are other websites where it scans through your email, and then you can press unenroll, batch do that, but then sometimes you still don't catch them all. Unroll Me, there's a icon that shows up by each promo email. You just click it to one click unsubscribe, and it will pop up. Do you want to delete all prior emails from this company? So not only it unsubscribes you, but gets rid of all of your junk. But I've also seen people, if you guys have like 31,000 emails or even 3,000 emails from like the past 2 years, just start fresh. You're not going to ever go back to look at those emails. Just delete them all, take away the badges, and then start fresh. Just like people who keep journals for like 2-3 years, medical journals, and think they're going to go back to read it. That's not going to happen. Just start fresh. If on your desktop, same thing, notifications and email, those like things that pop into your screen, all those are distractions. Just turn it off. And if you have a messy desktop, create a folder, name it mess, drag everything on your desktop into that mess folder. If you have the anxiety of not wanting to lose things, and just organize it later. But this, at least now, you'll have a clean desktop. So those are some of the I would say tech distraction proofing. And then you leave, if you really get distracted by your phone, you leave your phone outside of your work area and don't check it. Do a Pomodoro technique, maybe 25 minutes on, flow, 5 minutes off. If you're really good, you flow for 60 minutes, deep work, and then you go check your phone. So it's like trying to address that internal trigger of wanting to check something. Or if you need to check something, just write it down so that you said, after I finish these like items for the 25 minutes, I could do this and this and this on my phone. So those are some of the tech stuff. Regarding other limited mindset, it is usually I could do it better than people, so I don't want to outsource. I don't have a manual to give to others. It's too much to train them. Other things are, I'm afraid that my identity is going to be stolen by an assistant, or I don't know how to hire people. I don't have time to do it. So in general, it's limited mindset. Most people will blame their circumstances. Other people, like my husband, won't let me hire because he doesn't believe in spending money on hiring people when we can do cleaning and cooking ourselves. Or the third thing is we, think it's ourselves. We can't do it. I can't do it. So the three most common limited mindsets that'll prevent you from spending time with your kids with presence, so that you're not stressed out having date nights with your husband, create another 6-figure business, create financial freedom, generational wealth. So that's the cost of inaction.
Yeah, you bring up a good point, because my wife and I, we hired a cleaning person, and we're so grateful. She comes and cleans our place up, and my wife, she always felt responsible for that duty, even though we've split up the task. But it would always just be something that's, oh, I got to do this, I got to mop the floors, I got to do that, and I never really think about it until it's time to do it. But she thinks about it, constantly. It feels like, almost. And once we hired a lovely lady to clean our home for us, she looks forward to it. And yesterday we were kind of joking around. She's like telling my son, Devin, clean up your desk. The cleaning lady's coming tomorrow. It's still something she thinks about, because she's like thinking about what the cleaning lady's going to think about cleaning up for us. But we keep our place pretty clean. I love feng shui. I don't know if you apply any of those concepts with your clients, but
well, not with my clients, but I have hired feng shui experts for my own home. Yes.
Yeah, and feng shui, for those of you that may not be familiar, is an ancient, basically art they use in the East. In India, they have something called Vastu Shastra, which is very similar, and it's the positioning of objects, yourself, in relationship to the mouth of chi, which is where energy comes, the positioning of the sun. All of those things are taken into account to create the optimal space and setup for people. And I found that makes a huge difference. Like a big one from a productivity standpoint, because for us to be in flow, we have to be in a relaxed state, right? Like a alert yet relaxed state versus being like, stressed and alert. And so a big one that I find is the positioning of the door in the room. And a lot of times people, depending on how their room setup is and their desk is set up, their back will be facing the door. And that keeps our nervous system in this kind of low grade state of stress, because it's wondering what's behind me. And so if you can't change the positioning of your desk, then a great tool could be to put a mirror on your desk so you can see the door. So that just kind of instantly kind of calms your nervous system down as well. So nobody can surprise you from behind, so to speak.
Yeah, it's the power position. That's why the wall is behind me and there's double doors right in front of me. Same thing in the restaurant. You want to sit in a power position too when you can see the door. And then also your bedroom against the wall behind you, and then so you could see the door, whoever's coming in. So yeah, it's a very similar, and everything is kind of like twos or equal, round, not sharp, kind of create that energy flow in the house. So just there's a lot of science that goes into, and clutter is a huge thing. So if you have clutter, your mind is just like subconsciously cluttered and distracted, and the energy can't flow either. So yeah, lots of things to do. Lots of things you can do in your workspace to kind of increase your productivity.
Yeah, as is the microcosm, so is a macrocosm. So, we have a lot of distractions outside of us. So we're fighting our biology not to be distracted by them, right? And that takes energy away from the task that we want to go deeply into. Uh, I'd love for you to share where, when people think of productivity, they think of doing more. And I think and maybe you can correct me here. To me, it sounds like it's about getting more done, but not necessarily doing more. And so the analogy that I shared with you earlier, it's like we're trying to put 10 pounds of stuff in a 5 pound bag and it just doesn't fit. So I'd love for you to talk about perhaps where does getting rid of stuff first? I mean, maybe I answer my own question, but do we need to get rid of stuff first, or do we need to become, add more stuff to our plate? Like where do we start? Because some people are like, oh my God, I've got all these things to do. Now I've got to do this, and this. Like where can people start?
Yeah, I think the very first thing, there's various tactics, but the first thing is to figure out your whys, 7 levels of whys. You just keep asking why this is important to you. So, for example, I was talking to somebody like, why do you want to, I don't know, invest in real estate? Oh, because, people retire, during this, and then it's the one avenue to do it. And you also need a good credit score. So I need to like save up, da, da, da. But like, why? Why do you care? You just keep going. In the end, she realized is actually she wants to do all these things because she wants to go travel, and she doesn't want to retire when she can't do anything anymore. She doesn't, have lost the vitality. She wants to be able to have the ability to retire and to travel, have the freedom to travel. So once you get to that level of why, then you get to your 5 goals. Once you get to your 5 goals, then you look at every single thing that you're doing now. Is it moving the needle towards your 5 goals, towards your life vision, or is it not? If it's not, eliminate it. So the first step is elimination. With the Eisenhower matrix, I use that quite a bit. Going back a little bit to the 5 goals, that's the main way of focusing, because when I say 5 goals, it doesn't mean 5 business goals. When I say 5 goals, most commonly, the first one is yourself, your own health, your mindset, your vitality. Number 2, if you have kids, it's your kids. Number 3, if you have a significant other, they don't get lumped in with your kids. They're separate category. So we often put them together, like, oh, they're good. They're like status quo and like automated. It's fine. We're just like the routine. It's not intentional. So really the top 3 is already taken up. So you really have 2 more goals for the year. You only have enough bandwidth for creating something or keeping up something new in your business. So then that's really the focus. Anybody who wants to do real estate, coaching, etc., those are your focus. And then we use the Eisenhower matrix quite a bit. If you ever feel overwhelmed, you can look it up, how, the quadrant. But essentially, you want to eliminate as much as possible, and not just social media and mindless Netflixing, but those things that, and you want to delegate as much as possible. So the things that still need to be done, you delegate it out to people who can do it better or who can take things off your plate. So if you're a physician, say average salary is 200 an hour, you're not spending $200 doing your laundry and folding your laundry or cooking or something like that. Mm-hmm. And then you want to automate with tech as much as possible. So it essentially doesn't frees up your mental bandwidth so you can work in your zone of genius. And I would say the zone of genius is where it is the important and not urgent quadrant. There's a lot that goes into what should go into that, different quadrants, but important, not urgent quadrant are things that move the needle in your top 5 goals. And very few things go into the urgent and important quadrant. I consider those things more medical emergencies, family emergencies, or if you're a physician at work, then your patients. So the delegation is a huge, huge part. I 10x my productivity after I had my first baby because I got really good at delegating everything out. So I was able to underwrite, 2 multi-unit properties. They didn't work out, but my husband and I, postpartum 6 months, underwrote 2 properties, got under contract and everything, bought our primary home, grew my social media, grew my coaching, all 6 months postpartum when you're supposed to have, more, no time. So that's due to delegation. And I want to say it takes a mindset change to begin delegating. You can't be stuck in the past, of your own fears or maybe you've had a VA before and you're like, I didn't work out, so I don't want to hire another one. You could be stuck before, so that means you will never change. So, it must be like, for change to happen, it has to change now because you reach an emotional threshold, like you're not spending enough time with your kids. You're not growing in your other ventures. You're not investing. You're not creating generational wealth. You can't retire. So it must change, and you must change now. And you must believe that you can change now. So I guess today, when you listen to this podcast episode, you make a decision now. Are you going to stay in the old identity, the old story, the limiting belief that you tell yourself? Or you just create a line and you step over and take a risk and take action and step into the new identity so that you can create a different future for yourself. So that's what I would say for those people with the mindset of, I am not able to outsource because I can do it better, or I can't do it because I don't know how to manage people. If you can be a physician and learn from zero knowledge to becoming a physician, you can learn anything, and you manage a ton of people at your work already in the hospital. And another thing I'll say about mindset, it's not about the knowledge and skills that you currently have, but it's the mindset of knowing that you will get everything done because you have all the resources that you need. And this is a similar mindset of the astronauts that I work with. They come from different backgrounds of pilot, engineers, scientists, etc. And they all have different skill sets and knowledge and converge to learn even more different skill sets and knowledge. All right. Like robotics, like piloting a space vehicle, etc. Like how to conduct the science, how to run DNAs, and like it's not something like we learn unless you're working in the lab. They all have the common mindset that they can do anything because they're resourceful. They're very humble as well. They're not arrogant. They're very, very good people, very nice, very open, warm-hearted. And then number 3, they are not afraid to ask for help. They know that there are experts in various fields that they're learning, and they're not afraid to work as a team and ask for help. So those are the 3, and they're very courageous as well. So they take action. They know their goal, and they know their why, and they take action and risks, and they ask for help. And then they're not going to say, well, I'm afraid, so I don't delegate, or I'm afraid, I don't ask for help, or I'm afraid. No, the belief is it's already done. Whatever I want to do, it's done. Just consider it done. So that's what I want to share. That's kind of long.
No, that's wonderful. As you're sharing that, and as I'm reflecting, I'm wondering how much of our inability to delegate comes from our parents modeling that to us. So I didn't share this with you, but my parents owned a motel growing up, and my father bought it after he turned 50. So it was like almost like a second wind for him in his life. And they would not outsource anything, like even the front desk. Like they would work like every position, from the cleaning person to the front desk to the accountant to the the person that runs to the bank and the person that places the order. Like they did everything. And I can see how for some people that would model this idea that you've got to do everything. For me, it actually probably did the same thing that you're saying. Is that for me is like, oh, I don't want to live my life like that. So it was like a case study of what not to do, as opposed to a case study of what to do. But thankfully, I had the foresight to kind of look past that. But some people don't, so they kind of take on the burden of, like my wife, for example, her mom places such a great emphasis on being a good homemaker, if you will, right? So she takes pride in in my wife Deepa being great at those things. So when Deepa wanted to hire a housekeeper, she almost felt guilty. She felt like she's betraying her mom or letting her mom down because she's not able to, not that she's not able to, but she's delegating that task to somebody else. So I don't know if you can speak into that a little bit, and if you've seen that at all in your clients.
Yeah, I think a lot of immigrant clients have the same mentality. Why do things? Why pay other people to do things when you can do it yourself? Essentially,
Right.
which is it's just like why my mom doesn't hire additional massage therapists and would rather do massages on her own at 65, because of that exact same reason. It's like, you know, divvying out 50%, it's like money stolen from them, instead of looking at the big picture, like what is the cost of inaction? What is, like, how little are you playing? How little are you playing by staying small? This is staying
Mm-hmm.
small. And you have the ability to reach more people with what you're doing, to scale up by delegating. So the cost of inaction could be lost time with your kids, lost time with your husband. If you have a message that you want to spread, but you're too busy, or you have a medical skill that is really important, a new tech or an invention idea in your head, but if you're too busy with the little things that's not in your zone of genius, and you're afraid of delegating, then think about all the other people who are going to be at a loss because of your own fears. And you're right, so much of it, I think it's probably from generation, from modeling, from fear. It's from fear, because you want certainty and you want stability. So without it, and then it's the unknown. So I think it just cross over that line, break the pattern.
Yeah, it's almost like my parents, and I love them more than anything. So this is more, hopefully instructive for people. They would just, it was almost like a sign of weakness to hire somebody else. And anytime they saw somebody idle and not working, like the front desk person, they're just supposed to sit there until somebody walks in. Like they're not going to start like doing the accounting paperwork and all the stuff that the owner might do if there's downtime, right? Because for the owner, there's no downtime. And then they would just be like, oh, that person's not doing anything, so I'll just take their job, right? Because they're not doing anything anyways. And it just like all of a sudden, like all the tasks fall on you. And so I think for a lot of practitioners, especially those that are just starting out, I know a lot of people in our audience are just starting out, so they're that solopreneur, um, and so they're reluctant to hire because sometimes they don't have the income coming in just yet. But that could be the breakthrough that they need, so that they could do more income generating activities instead of things that are just sucking up their time, and making them, not as productive. I've also found, and maybe you've discovered this as well, is that this is me personally, is that when I don't want to do something, I will do something productive, but not the thing that I need to do. So I might need to, build something online. And instead of doing that, I'll go wax my car, which to me is still productive. I'm still working. I'm checking off a lot of the boxes. And to me, it's a meditative process. But I don't know if you can speak to that. Like, how do people use distraction and things like that and maybe perfectionism as an excuse to not put themselves out there or get things done?
Yeah, I know exactly what you mean. It takes discipline, and practice, really practice, to build a habit to do the hard things first, or the things they don't want done first. And then later on, after you get into the habit, when you're trying to, so the night before, usually I decide the top 3 priorities. And if there's one, and I write it, like step 1, step 2, step 3, they're numbered in priorities, the steps. And I know exactly which was number 1 when I see a task and I'm like, I don't want to do it. Like, it's not something I'm looking forward to. And that's number 1. So I don't know if that answers your question. And then people, yes, like they are using busy work, the things that don't move the needle, as their top 3 priority. When I say top 3 priority, is things that are moving the needle of your 5 goals for the year. And then the leftover time, then you go do it in the afternoon. Then you go do those busy work items that still maybe needs to get done, but you have that golden hour of productivity in the morning. That is when you use it for any sort of deep work, for creation, for underwriting a property, for looking at your expenses, etc.
Mhm.
Those things.
Yeah, I think Brian Tracy calls that eating the frog. So it's the thing that you don't want to do the most is probably the thing that you need to get done, and probably the thing that will move the needle the most as well. Either, you know, creating new business or closing a door, or whatever it is. It's your avoid the obstacle is the way, as they say. So just get out there and get it done. And if you can do it first thing in the morning and you tackle that hard thing first thing in the morning, kind of like a cold shower, right? If you do a cold shower first thing in the morning, the rest of the day seems pretty easy. So if you can fire off that email or check that task off your list that you've been putting off, you already feel like you've tackled like 50% of the day.
Yeah, and one quick thing I'll say is if you probably don't want to do it, it's probably because it's too big, like it's not chunked down enough.
Mm.
So like find a property, okay. What about like reach out to 3 agents in the morning and tell them what I'm looking for and start a deal funnel. Yeah, that's maybe better. Or find a property, okay. Research San Antonio market for this for 30 minutes. That's a little bit more specific. So chunk it down, list out all the steps that you have to do to reach that goal. And then whatever you can do in 30 minutes, that's how much you chunk it down. And maybe that'll seem a little less daunting because the lack of clarity or how big that task seemed impossible is giving you the discomfort and not wanting to do it.
I love that. And this has been a very fascinating conversation. And I know we can keep chatting. Um, I'd love for people to know where they can learn more about you and where they can connect with you to see if working with you might be the right fit or following you might be the right fit. Where can we send people?
Yeah, they can go to productivitymd.com. On there, there's the podcast page. You can follow me there. It's right now it's not a rocket science show. We are transitioning to Productivity MD. But if you go to productivitymd.com, you can book a 30-minute coaching discovery call with me through Calendly. You can also, follow me on social media, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. It's Ann Tsung, Tsung, MD. Across all social media, and that's ANN, no E. So I will also send you guys in the show notes, you can put in a Productivity MD resource list of things I use, the planner I use, the VA, recruiting agency via task list, house manager task list, things I use for vitality, etc. One thing about the VA, about the cost really quick, it's not, people think it's a lot. I hired my first VA from Philippines for $3 an hour. So would you pay $3 an hour to somebody to save you, that hour? Because your hourly rate is like 200 if you're a physician. It's not free anymore. If you want a good quality one, it's probably 4 or 5. Currently, I pay 10 for my assistant, but she is like 10x, the productivity. So just wanted to share that out there.
Amazing. Thank you so much. And so grateful and appreciative of our budding friendship. And here's to productivity for all. We all need more, and it allows us to give more, serve more, and be our best selves. So thank you again, Anne. I appreciate you, and we'll be sure to share all the links that you shared with us in the show notes as well.
Thank you, Sachin. It's been a pleasure, super fun. And I am super excited to, see where your journey takes you as well, because I've learned a lot from you regarding health and mouth taping as well. Thank you.
Awesome. My pleasure. Have a wonderful rest of your day.
All right. You too. Thank you.
Bye.